This change to the Constitution does not impact our sovereignty, my sovereignty, and I would not be standing up here in support of this bill if I had any doubt in my mind that it would.
We will be further divided throughout this campaign. And if the yes vote is successful, we will be divided forever.
Race is already in the Constitution. This is about ensuring that First Nations people, Australia's First Peoples, have a say on issues that affect them.
And I'll be voting no to this disastrous idea of giving us no power.
Just because you got your cave paintings and your dream time and you have this connection with the land, what about my connection with this land? What about the farmers?
I'm confident that Australians won't be distracted and misled by that kind of dishonesty. I'm confident that Australians will respond with the honesty, generosity and belief in a fair go that we are known for around the world.
The ayes 52 and the noes 19. I call the pass.
A bill to enact to alter the Constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice.
Well, for more, we're joined by political reporter Noor Haydar from Parliament House in Canberra. Good afternoon, Noor. So what happens now that the bill has passed?
Well, Ros, the passage of that legislation really was the final parliamentary hurdle. There are no barriers now in the way of this referendum taking place this year. As we heard just there, the constitutional alteration bill passed the Senate 52 to 19, and it was met with a round of applause from those within the public gallery, along with supporters of the voice on the floor of the chamber. It's been the subject of long debate over many weeks, if not months, and indeed not just within the parliament, but in the public more broadly. Now that it has passed, the government can set a date for the vote to take place, no sooner than 2 months from today and no later than 6 months from now. We are expecting that the Prime Minister in the coming weeks will announce the date for that vote to take place. It should be mentioned that despite the Nationals and the Liberals being opposed, the coalition formally opposed to this, some voted in support of the legislation in order to ensure that Australians get their say. That is what we were told by Michaelia Cash, the Shadow Attorney General, saying that whilst they're opposed to what was in the bill, the substance of the bill, they'll not stand in the way of Australians having their say. Those who voted no will now be a part of a group that gets to craft the no side of the pamphlets that will be mailed out later in the year.
And the government is urging people to be respectful.
Yes, we heard from, as we played just a little earlier, from a number of senators from across the parliament, some in favour and some opposed. And the Assistant Minister for Indigenous Australians, Malarndirri McCarthy, encouraged Australians to be respectful now that this debate is in their hands and is out of the parliament. She said she didn't want to see hurtful comments, as she said occurred under the plebiscite, or when the plebiscite into same-sex marriage was taking place. We hadn't expected to hear from as many senators as we did, but that was because debate on this legislation ran into the early hours of Saturday morning. But we heard from a handful of them today, including the Shadow Attorney General, Michaelia Cash, who summarised the Liberal Party's position, describing the voice, in her words, as risky, unknown and divisive. And she repeated the coalition's claim that it would bog down government decisions in High Court disputes. We also heard from Green Senator Dorinda Cox, who said the referendum would usher in a decade of change for First Nations people, but that she would continue to campaign for the Uluru Statement from the Heart to be adopted in full, including treaty and truth. And while she was speaking, there were interjections from Independent Senator Lydia Thorpe. She expressed her disapproval with this referendum, describing today as Assimilation Day, and criticised the Voice as a joke and said that it would be a powerless advisory body. That has been her long-standing position, that this body does not give Indigenous Australians power to influence the laws, but rather the capacity to advise government. And finally, we heard from a number of Labor senators, including Murray Watt, who said or accused some within the parliament of acting or speaking dishonestly and spreading things that were not true to undermine the Voice and undermine the referendum. Let's take a listen to some of those who spoke earlier in the chamber.
Australia's Constitution is our most important legal document. Every single word can be open to interpretation. The Voice is four things. It's risky, it's unknown, it's divisive, and it's permanent.
Say yes for our country. Yes for a better future. And I ask all Australians to ensure that we keep our discussions and debate, our considerations as we walk this journey, this very sacred journey of our country, with the utmost respect for one another.